We begin with a CBC Toronto News investigation tonight into break-and-enters. They are one of the most reported crimes here in the GTA.
And among the hardest to solve. Tonight, we take a closer look at why and the effects on the victims. There were more than 13,000 break-and-enters last year across the GTA, 7,000 in Toronto alone. Just 24% of those cases were solved. And for thieves, it's a tempting number.
Now, victims are not only robbed of their property, but also of peace of mind. Trevor Dunn has been on this investigation for us. And Trevor, explain why break-and-enters are so hard to solve.
Some very simple reasons why. Break-and-enters rarely have witnesses. Most suspects are smart enough to choose homes that are empty. And there's not much evidence. Thieves go after cash, which isn't traceable, or jewelry, which can be sold off shortly after the crime. And when I started working on this story and talking to people, I was surprised at how many had their homes broken into. It happened to me. Many victims never get their property back, and whether or not the crime is solved, most victims never forget. This is Miss Tallulah.
And we got her a few months after the break-in.
She's a new addition to the family and a comforting friend for Heidi and, most of all, her two kids.
The kids were finding it really hard for sleeping at night.
The burglars smashed through the back door while the family was shopping on a Sunday afternoon last summer. They stole cash, jewelry, even the kids' piggy banks. They left a sense of insecurity that won't go away.
To this day, they actually bunk in together in one room because they just feel like there's security together. And so that's sad as a parent to have your kids worrying like that.
Miss Tallulah helps, but the kids worry whoever did this will be back because they're not in jail.
Trends have changed in the last 10 years.
Detective Sergeant Don Cardwell is busy going over his latest stats. 38 break-and-enters in York Region in just 1 week. None of them solved. He says many are committed by a new wave of break-and-enter specialists.
Now we're getting into more organized crime groups. We have the Georgians from Russia. We have Colombians that have come through last year.
Foreign organized crime gangs moving from city to city.
The first thing we're going to look at is for forensics, DNA. They've only been in the country for a short period of time, so nothing's going to be in the database.
Not that there's much at a crime scene for police to work with. These are swift professionals who barely leave a trace.
I was naive enough to think that they would catch, or there would be some clues that they can find.
At Rita Ojagian's Richmond Hill home, they waited until she and her husband were gone, broke through the front door, and headed straight for the master bedroom and the jewelry.
I used to wear it by thinking that my grandmother is with me.
All she has now are photos.
This is my mother's wedding, as I was saying, with the bracelet.
Oh, she has it on there. A gold bracelet smuggled out of communist Russia, a precious link to Ojagian's family meant to be passed on to her daughter on her wedding day.
However, I passed it on to a bunch of thieves.
It's a violation that changes how you feel.
The house is not a private sanctuary anymore.
How you live.
I'm really acutely aware now when I leave the house.
And I don't think a lot of people see the impact that it has on families.
Along with valuables, a break-and-enter robs you of that sense of security in your own home, and it's hard to get back.
There's that ongoing fear of what if somebody broke in the night? And the thing is that...
Now, for police, a break-and-enter is usually a priority 3 call as long as the suspect is gone, which is usually the case. So lots of other calls take priority: violent crimes, assaults, shootings. In the courts, police say the penalties are not very harsh. Someone convicted of a break-and-enter could avoid jail time altogether. It is a property crime after all, but like you just saw, the victims say the impact doesn't go away.
Yeah, and Trevor, they want these thieves caught. It's not easy to do, and it's even more difficult now when you have these professional groups involved.
Professional is really the only way to describe them. Police say they never rob in their own backyard, and many come from other cities, even other countries, so they're hard to track, and they're sophisticated. Now, tomorrow we have some surveillance footage from a group of Colombians police say committed a break-and-enter in Richmond Hill. They acted in broad daylight, disguised as a construction crew. They stole thousands of dollars from a safe inside a home, and police say they didn't find it by accident. They likely did their research. We'll also have some of the tools and devices a suspect had in his apartment when police raided it. I saw it. It's like an Inspector Gadget dedicated to break-and-enters.
Fascinating. Thank you for that, Trevor. Toronto police have made arrests tonight in a series of break-and-enters across the city. 26-year-old Sean McKeegan and 30-year-old Antonio DaCosta are facing several charges in connection with 3 robberies. Police say apartments were the target. Police seized electronics, money, and handheld radios and scanners. They are still looking for one man, 34-year-old John Miguel DaCosta. And as we told you last night, arrests in break-and-enter cases are rare. Toronto police solve about 24% of them. And they also tell us they're seeing new, more sophisticated operations, groups who use high-tech equipment. Trevor Dunn joins me in studio now with part 2 of his investigation into break-and-enters. And Trevor, B&Es used to be crimes of opportunity, but now a lot of planning goes into them.
Dwight, police say they're seeing a shift from one-off smash-and-grab burglars to serial break-and-enter specialists who put a lot of thought and resources into the crime. Let's begin where police do, connecting the dots. Here's a map of all the break-and-enters in York Region from earlier this week. Police organize them. Red dots are front door entries, blue dots for back doors, green dots for window entries. Analyzing data is an important part of break-and-enter investigation. Police are looking for patterns, and they're finding some new ones. They start by simply ringing the bell. A stranger at the door, but not suspicious looking.
She goes up to the house first. She's unassuming, so
that's no coincidence. They sent a woman up first.
no, it's definitely on purpose.
Detective Brian Renwick shows us a Richmond Hill break-and-enter committed by a group of Colombians, also suspected for crimes in Ottawa and Montreal. Their operation here is pulled off perfectly.
After she's satisfied that nobody else is home, she'll call in for the rest of the guys to show up, and they're all dressed in construction vests to make the appearance that they're there as landscapers or construction workers of some kind. They have a telescopic ladder that they use to get up to the second floor. Typically on alarms for houses, they don't put sensors on the second floor windows.
Inside the home, they find a safe with thousands of dollars in it, and police don't think they just got lucky.
That seemed to be the common theme with this crew, is they always managed to hit the house that had a safe and a large quantity of cash stored in it. That's one of the theories I had, was that was maybe they were hanging out at a bank and then waiting for somebody to withdraw a large quantity of cash and then follow that person out of there.
However they figured it out, it likely involved days or weeks of research and planning. This notebook was found after police raided the apartment of another man wanted for multiple break-and-enters in York Region. They're meticulous notes with addresses, descriptions of properties, times of day, license plates of vehicles. That's all for the planning, and this is for the execution.
So that was in his car.
A phone technician's butt set among the tools police found in the same raid.
He would cut the bell line, he'd hook the phone up to see if the alarm is dialing out to the alarm company.
There's lock-picking tools, a guide to picking locks and locks to practice with, instruments to measure diamonds, chemicals to test the quality of gold, cash, weapons, a torch to burn through safes and steel doors, and just in case someone spots him, a cell phone jammer to make sure they can't call 911.
Covered a lot of B&Es in my career, Trevor, not that sophisticated, and not many of the people arrested were from overseas.
That last suspect there with all the gadgets, he's from Georgia. Police say he got in with fake documents. Investigators found out afterwards he had a long criminal record in Israel. Police say these international criminals put as much work into getting over the border as they do into their crimes, so fake passports, usually from countries that don't require visas to enter Canada, and fake names. Police say one of those Colombian suspects we saw earlier has 19 aliases and used a Mexican passport to get into Canada.
Oh, that's really interesting. And you've got more for us tomorrow.
Well, we've seen the technology the thieves have. Tomorrow, we're going to test out the technology that we can use to protect our homes.
All right, Trevor, thank you for that. We look forward to it. Crime doesn't pay. Watches and jewelry are just some of the items thieves have been stealing during break-ins across the GTA. All this week, Trevor Dunn has been looking at the tactics B&E artists use and the impact the crimes have on homeowners. And Trevor's live right now on Grange Road. And today, Trevor, you've been testing security systems.
Yeah, Dwight, we're here near Dundas and Spadina in the residential area, and it's very busy right now. The sidewalk's bustling, people getting home from work and arriving at home. This is exactly when the thieves don't want to operate. They want your home empty. Now, as you mentioned, there are some tactics you can use to keep them away. We've learned thieves are upping their game. Here's how you can up your home security game. A quiet street in the middle of the day. An empty home is an opening for criminals. Well, one of the first things that burglars do when they're committing a break and enter is something really simple. They go up to the house they want to rob and ring the doorbell, see if anyone's home. As we saw in our story yesterday, a gang of break and enter thieves in Richmond Hill just rang on the doorbell several times before they robbed the home.
Hello, can I help you?
It sounds
I
like
can't come
Paul
out right
Seidman's
now.
home, but he's
Sorry.
not. He's using
If
his
you wanna come
phone
by
to
in a
speak
couple
to and
hours,
watch
maybe-
me at his door. You caught me, Paul. I was trying to rob your home.
Well, Trevor, the good news is no matter where I am in the world, when you ring my doorbell, I can always pretend like I'm home even when I'm not.
From high-definition cameras to lower-cost options like motion-activated lights or additional locks.
Really inexpensive, under $100. It's the claw deadbolt that works on most sliding doors.
Inside and out, Seidman's home is protected. He has a real German Shepherd, but if you're not a dog person, he can sell you a fake one. Seidman owns a home security company, and we asked him how some break-and-enters we showed you earlier this week could have been prevented. The cameras and mobile intercom system may have stopped the Richmond Hill robbery, but what about Heidi? Thieves entered her Cabbagetown home by smashing a glass door. So, Paul, this is just regular glass here?
Yes, it is.
I'm going to go at it with this hammer and try to smash it.
Go ahead.
All right, how's that work?
Well, this window is normal window glass like you would find in a typical home. However, it is treated with a 14 mil security film, and we happen to use Armor Coat. With Armor Coat on a glass, it basically bonds the glass to the film, making it very hard to penetrate the actual glass.
It may crack, but it won't shatter. Rita Ojagian lost priceless family jewelry when thieves kicked in her dead-bolted front door in Richmond Hill.
We would recommend installing a door safe. It's a piece of steel that's physically designed to go around the door.
Seidman also sells heavy-duty safes, high-security keys that can't be copied, and locks that can't be picked. You've tried?
We've tried. Yeah, we definitely have tried. You can't pick these locks, and I think some of the high security companies offer $10,000 rewards if you can pick them.
Now, Seidman says, and police repeat this all the time, there's really nothing you can buy to fully protect your home. If thieves can rob a bank, they can rob a home, but they need to get in and out fast, so anything you can buy to slow them down, like those things we just saw, could keep them away.
Need you to swing that hammer a little harder there, Trevor. All of this sounds great, but how much does it cost?
Well, it all depends on the system you're looking at. The surveillance system that Paul Seidman had at his house right there, that's a $2,000 system, top of the line, but those camera and cell phone connection systems do start a little lower. You can get them for about $400, and I was hitting that glass pretty hard. You can really, it really defends your windows. Dwight.
Thank you, Trevor.